Hi, my name is Michael Santos, and I'm just so excited to share with you a new package that I just received from Amazon. And this is generally the way they come to me. I opened the box first because I wasn't expecting anything. Then I remembered that I was waiting for these new workbooks to come that I'm going to be able to distribute to people in jails and prisons across America. I cut the slice open to open the box, but now I'm going to share it with you what it's like when they come in. And this is the way they come. So this is the new book that you've been going through this program. It's called Preparing for Success After Prison. It is a workbook. And the reason that I designed the book this way is because I wanted to make sure that regardless of where a person was, whether that person was in a special housing unit, that person was unable to get to a classroom, I wanted them to get everything that they would need to start sowing seeds for a better outcome. I learned while I was going through 26 years in prison that a lot of times external circumstances don't really accommodate what it is that we want. We always, we face challenges sometimes of living in prison, but that doesn't stop us from having to work toward building something better. And although I am almost ready to celebrate my 10th year since finishing my term in the Bureau of Prisons, I'm still working every day following all the principles that I describe in here. And it's really what I wanted to share with all of you. So I'm really enthusiastic to have received this book because that means that more than 1,000 people in jails and prisons across America have received them today as well. Today's Sunday. It's now 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, and I just was very excited to see this outside of my doorstep. I've been writing since 4 in the morning, really doing everything I can to help as many people inside understand the steps that they can take to prepare for success upon release. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Now we're going to move on to the next lesson in the course, Preparing for Success After Prison. My name is Michael Santos, and I believe in you.
The previous lesson in our course, Preparing for Success After Prison, spoke about emotional intelligence and really trying to figure out how to understand the feelings that other people have and how we could use that knowledge to help advance our pathway to success, to preparing for success. Well, the follow-up lesson to that is really about empathy, which relates to that same concept. And so I want to read this lesson to you, and then I want to go into what it means to me, what I hopefully challenging you to be thinking about what does empathy mean to you. It's super important for us as we're working to prepare for success after prison or after any kind of hurdle to be thinking about empathy and how we could use empathy to not only identify with others, but really to reach our highest potential. So let's turn to lesson number 24. We are coming to the end of our program, and I hope you are using it in your pathway to prepare for success. So this is cultivating empathy, and of course we always begin with the vocabulary word. What is empathy? It is the ability to understand and share the feelings, perspective, and experiences of others, and to respond with compassion and sensitivity. Now, one thing I will say about responding with compassion and sensitivity to people in prison is that doesn't necessarily mean that doesn't in any way mean that you have to be weak. Empathy really is a sign of confidence and strength, because you can always build yourself stronger by working to help the people around you. I always like to quote Zig Ziglar when I'm quoting that. I said, if you can help other people get what they want, you can get everything you want. And it's important to recognize that relationship, particularly when we're living in struggle or challenging times like imprisonment. So let's go to the lesson right now. Empathy is a vital skill for personal development. It involves stepping into the shoes of others, understanding their emotions, and responding with compassion and understanding. By cultivating empathy, we foster deeper connections, build stronger relationships, and create a more supportive and harmonious environment. If we develop empathy, we simultaneously develop skills that lead to a higher success upon release. On the flip side, we can ignore empathy's value and adjust to a prison setting with apathy. That means we don't care about others or adapt in ways that make us comfortable in prison, but incapable of functioning in society. We must think about the challenges that follow for all people who leave prison. People who serve time in prison may face challenges with finding employment, obtaining credit, opening business relationships. Those who develop empathy will have a higher skill set they can draw upon to overcome those challenges. For example, Had I not developed empathy while serving 26 years in prison, I would have faced more challenges after release. I trained myself to think as if I'd always be unemployable. When I walked out, I felt as if I would have to create my own income streams. Empathy plays a crucial role for people who choose to live an entrepreneurial life. We must connect with customers, understanding their needs. We listen so we can solve their problems. Then we create products and services around their needs. By empathizing with the end user, an entrepreneur engages in active listening. He must research markets to learn more about pain points he wants to resolve. An empathetic approach will help an entrepreneur understand the nuances of the market. As a former prisoner who strives to create products and services for the prison system, I listened to the market and strive to understand the needs of people who are very cynical of me because of my background. Develop empathy while serving a prison term, and a person will advance prospects for success upon release. So, perspective taking. Empathy begins with perspective. It involves putting ourselves in the position of others, imagining their experiences, and seeing the world through their eyes. By considering different viewpoints, we gain a broader understanding of the human experience. Active listening. Empathy is closely tied to active listening. It means attentively and non-judgmentally listening to others, seeking to understand their emotions and concerns. By fully engaging in the conversation and showing genuine interest, we create a safe space for people to share their thoughts and feelings. Emotional recognition. Empathy requires recognizing and acknowledging the emotions of others. It involves being attuned to verbal and nonverbal cues and validating their feelings. By acknowledging and accepting their emotions, we demonstrate empathy and support. Cultivating compassion. Empathy is connected to compassion, which is the genuine concern for the well-being of others. It involves responding with kindness, empathy, and a willingness to help. Cultivating compassion fosters a sense of connectedness and promotes positive relationships. Respecting diversity. Empathy encompasses respecting diversity and appreciating the unique experiences and backgrounds of others. It involves recognizing and valuing different perspectives and cultural differences. By embracing diversity, we create an inclusive and an empathetic environment. So here are some questions for you. How do you understand the concept of empathy? Why is empathy important for personal development, particularly during imprisonment? Share an example of a time when empathy helped you understand someone's perspective or support them in prison. How did it contribute to your personal growth? How can cultivating empathy help you prepare for building meaningful relationships and resolving conflicts after release? What strategies can you employ to enhance your empathy during prison? And then here are some activities for you. Think of a recent interaction where you could have demonstrated more empathy. Reflect on the situation and describe how you could have better understood the other person's feelings and responded with empathy. What steps can you take in the future to cultivate empathy in similar situations? Identify one area where you would like to develop greater empathy. Write down specific actions you can take to enhance your empathy in that area, such as practicing active listening, engaging in perspective-taking exercises, or seeking opportunities to learn about different cultures and experiences. Remember, empathy is a powerful tool for personal development, fostering connections and creating a compassionate environment. By cultivating and practicing empathy during prison, you develop a deeper understanding of others, you build stronger relationships, and you contribute to a more empathetic society. These skills will serve you well in your journey toward post-release success. And as we always do, before I get into the final section of this video recorded lesson, I like to throw on the screen our mailing address, so if you want to write to us, you can. It's Prison Professors, 32565 Golden Lantern, Suite B1026 in sunny Dana Point, California, 92629. And for those of you who want to really participate in our advocacy efforts we need to profile more people who are preparing for success after release, send us an email invite to our interns at prisonprofessorstalent.com, right? Interns at prisonprofessorstalent.com. I believe that's the correct address, and maybe our video editor will put it on the bottom of the video here just to remind you. But the reason I want you to really understand this concept of memorializing your preparations for success upon release, building your release plan to show how serious you are about reconciling with society and making efforts to prepare for success, how that is really essential not only for you, but for the entire community. At the start of this video, I showed you the workbooks that go along with this course, and what I'd like to share with you now are some video sharing exercises that kind of describe the outcome of what does it mean to think and to connect. And so you might take a look at this section here where I'm interviewing a federal judge, and that I can't show you the whole video because it's a 35-minute video, but I want to show you the end of the video, and I want to give you just like a little summary about why I interviewed this federal judge. See, in my work as advocacy, I have to always try to connect with people who are really natural adversaries to a justice-impacted person, or at least that's how it feels while we're going through confinement. Imagine, I want you to be thinking about how challenging or difficult it would be to get a federal judge to endorse you and say, when you're facing a prison term, how difficult is it to get the federal judge to see you as a human being, as somebody who shares a common interest in the best outcomes for our entire country instead of the criminal charge that's against you? Kind of try to contemplate that challenge. Think about a U.S. attorney. How can you get the Department of Justice to see you not only as somebody who broke the law, but rather somebody who can bring value to the growth and benefit of society? Think about the Bureau of Prisons or the agency that's holding you. How can you get that agency to see you as somebody that's something more than the criminal charge? How about the future probation officers that you are going to see? How can you persuade the federal probation to see you as a good person? All of that starts and requires a very high level of emotional intelligence, and it also requires you to cultivate this concept of empathy, so that people don't only see you for what you're convicted, the worst thing in your life, but rather how you responded and how you tried to make the world a better place. And when I interviewed the federal judge, and I'll play just a little snippet of what concluded at that interview. I remember asking the judge, because I was speaking at a judicial conference, and I got to speak with a lot of judges, and I interviewed a lot of them, and some of them agreed to appear on camera with me, because I would ask them, if I'm speaking to a justice-impacted person, is there anything that person could do to influence you at sentencing and what sentence you would impose? And the judge basically told me, look, I know everything that the prosecutor is going to say. Okay, most judges started their careers as prosecutors at one point. Many of them did anyway, or they worked in law enforcement in some capacity. And so as a former prosecutor, he said, I already know the law. I know the prosecutor has a motive to argue for justice and making things right for the victims. That's the prosecutor's role. Likewise, I know the role of a defense attorney, and I know what he's going to say. He's going to tell me why his client, regardless of what happened, why that client is deserving of a lower sentence. And both of them are going to be quoting statutes and laws and all that kind of stuff. But of course, I know all of that. I'm a federal judge. If I don't know all of those laws and statutes and how to find them, then I shouldn't be a judge. He said, the one thing that I don't know is the defendant. I don't know what has the defendant learned from this experience. In what ways does the defendant identify with the victims? In what ways is the defendant showing me that he truly gets the nature of the crime and how it has, what impact it has had on society? And what is he doing about it? In what ways is this defendant reconciling with society and making amends and demonstrating that he is something more than the criminal charge? To the extent that a defendant can do that, the judge said, that it gives me a sense that he really gets it. And maybe if somebody really gets it, the sanction doesn't have to be as severe as it would be for somebody who I don't perceive gets it. So that responsibility then falls upon the individual to help the judge see, I get it, I understand, I am working to make amends with society for the harm that I have caused. That's what empathy is about. Too many people only focus on their own perspective rather than the perspective of others. And it's super important that we recognize that early, because it takes time to develop a record of showing I have empathy for society. I have empathy for what I have done. I'm thinking about the lives of others. I'm not only thinking about myself, which is, of course, sometimes a trend for justice-impacted people. We tend to get into this movement of it's all about us and who's not doing for us what we think should be done. But I want you to see some examples that if you work hard, you can develop this empathy, and then it will work on your behalf. So notice this is the home page of the Federal Bureau of Prisons website, and they are profiling the work that we are doing. That is the director of the National Institute of Corrections, Dr. Alex McLaren. And you'll see that it's there on. Very strange to have somebody like me with a background like I have of 26 years imprisonment working together with the Bureau of Prisons and having the Bureau of Prisons profile me. Here is the Department of Justice's website. You can see the United States Attorney's Office, District of Guam, and you can see the work that we were doing to advocate for incentives in prison. Notice that this is in 2016 when at the invitation of the U.S. Attorney and the Department of Justice, I visited Guam and Saipan for, I think, a little over a week, maybe 10 days or so, and participated in this program to really speak about the importance of using incentives in prison and reentry. And on the website, it even shows images of us together. That's me with some of the leaders in Guam and Micronesia with the U.S. Attorney. You could see images there in the U.S. Attorney's office. I mean, this is a guy right there. You see me in the back. I'm a former prisoner. I'm in the middle there with wearing the blue sport coat in the Department of Justice's website, advocating for you, getting natural people. This is it with the judicial conference, all the judges in Micronesia. And then they're sitting in front with federal judges and the U.S. Attorney's office. There I am speaking in judicial conferences in Guam for the Department of Justice. This is the head of the prison system in Guam. And, you know, it was so hot there, I had to wear tropical attire. And I'm sitting there with the director of the prison system for all of Micronesia. So all of this is taking place, and I'm sharing this with you to show you none of that happens without empathy.
I just want to say that the feeling is mutual. You have done so much and worked so hard to make such incredibly positive changes in your life that I'm so proud to know you. I'm so proud to consider you a friend. And you know what? I'd be absolutely thrilled if you were my next door neighbor.
So all of those areas are what I am talking about. If you build a record showing that you're not only thinking about yourself, but you're thinking about the broader community, you can build a stronger support system that will help prepare you for success upon release. That worked for me. I never ask anybody to do anything that I didn't do. It's the reason that we believe in you, and we feel so passionately about you working to sow seeds and prepare for success after your release. I want to thank Edovo. I want to thank the Bureau of Prisons. I want to thank California Department of Corrections for allowing me, somebody with my criminal background, to be able to come in and connect with you. You are my brothers and sisters, and I want to help you emerge successfully with your dignity intact. My name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors, and I believe in you.